Kia ora, and welcome to your Good Heavens Guide for November 2025. I'm Deb, a Good Heavens Stargazing Guide here on Aotea Great Barrier Island, New Zealand. This island is just a short flight from Auckland, yet far enough away to be an international dark sky sanctuary, which means we have some of the darkest skies in the world. In this video, I'm going to take you on a journey through the Southern Hemisphere night sky. You might want to watch this before you head outside, then just listen once you're out in the dark. This is because our eyes take a while to adjust to the dark, and looking at your phone will set your eyes back. Or you can set your phone to night mode, as more orange or red toned light affects our night vision less. As you start to get familiar with our constellations, you'll have less need to watch the video, and you can just listen to my voice guiding you. Together, we'll look at the constellations, planets, star clusters, and galaxies visible this evening. We'll dip into astronomy, Greek myths, and Maori star lore. Wherever you are in the Southern Hemisphere, this guide will help you to look up and get lost in the starry night sky. So, take yourself somewhere dark, get comfy and warm. We use moon chairs on our tours, so you can lean back and relax your back and neck with a snuggly blanket over the top of you to keep you warm. Or, when I'm doing a bit of impromptu stargazing with my son, we throw a towel or a blanket on the ground, lie back, and look up. Now, turn off the lights and let your eyes adjust to the darkness. It may take 20 minutes for your eyes to fully adjust, and looking at this video will set your eyes back. So, if you do want to look at these images, then turn your phone to its night mode setting first, as dark as you can make it. This guide is designed for a 9 p.m. start time, as that's when it gets dark enough to stargaze this month. But if you're like me, you'll want to enjoy the stars without being out too late. So if you're stargazing later than that, the stars and planets will have shifted a little further to the west. If you stay out under the stars for a while, you'll start to notice this movement. Let's start with our moon and how it's moving. First, look at what the moon is doing this month. On the 6th of November, we have a supermoon. So our moon will look bigger than usual, 7.7% bigger in fact. Then for each night after that, our moon will be waning. That means it's going to rise a little bit later each evening, and it will get a bit smaller as it does so, until we reach the new moon on the 20th of November. Then for that last part of the month, we have a waxing moon. So each night the moon will get a little bit bigger and stay in the night sky for about 50 minutes longer until our next full moon on the 5th of December. The zodiac constellations now. Let's start over in the western sky. Low in the western sky, we find Scorpius, the scorpion. Close to the horizon, look for 3 stars in a line forming the head of the scorpion. Above that is a red star, then a big curve of stars that is like a back-to-front question mark. And we end with the sting in the scorpion's tail. The red-coloured star Antares is a red supergiant. It's amongst the biggest of all the stars. It sits around 550 light years away from us. This means that the light left the star around 550 years ago, and it's only now been seen by us. The red colour comes from the low surface temperature of this star, and it's significantly cooler than our Sun. As Antares is in the red supergiant phase of its stellar evolution, it has exhausted its core hydrogen. It's now expanding, it's cooling down, and that's giving it its characteristic reddish-orange hue and immense brightness due to its enormous size. Antares is more than 10 1,000 times brighter than our sun, and it's about 700 times the sun's radius. So, if it was sitting in the place of our sun, the planets Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars would be sitting inside Antares. Thank goodness it's not. Antares is an M1 red supergiant. Like all M-type giants and supergiants, Antares is close to the end of its lifetime. In fact, someday soon, astronomically speaking, it will effectively run out of fuel and collapse. The resulting rapid collapse of its enormous mass, some 11 to 14 times the mass of our Sun, will cause an immense supernova explosion. This will ultimately leave a tiny neutron star, or possibly a black hole. This explosion, which could be tomorrow or millions of years from now, will be spectacular as seen from Earth. But luckily, we're far enough away, and so we do not think there's any danger to our planet from this massive explosion. In Aotearoa, New Zealand, we don't have scorpions. So, in Maori star lore, Scorpius is Maui's fishhook. This story starts with Maui creating a magical fishhook fashioned from the jawbone of his grandmother. As Maui's older brothers often excluded him from their fishing trips, he devised a plan to join them. Maui hid under the floorboards of their canoe, revealing himself only after they were far out at sea. He cast the hook deep into the ocean. It snagged on something incredibly large, and Maui began to haul his catch to the surface. The immense fish Maui pulled out from the sea became the North Island of New Zealand, Te Ika a Maui, the fish of Maui. Maui's canoe became the South Island, known as Te Waka a Maui. Rakiora or Stewart Island is sometimes called Te Punga a Maui, Maui's anchor, as it was used to hold the waka in place. Maui's fishhook starts with the red supergiant star Antares, which in Maori is called rehua. It then curves up and around from there. Can you see that sharp and bright hook at the end? Our next constellation is Sagittarius the Archer. Look for 3 stars in a curve that form the bow of the archer and one in front, the arrow. That points to a very dark area of sky. This dark area is where the galactic center of the Milky Way, our galaxy, resides. It's around 30,000 light years away. Sagittarius is a centaur, half human and half horse. Some people see a teapot with the handle representing the centaur's body, while the spout points to the arrow's tip. The cloudy white of the Milky Way can be thought of as steam emerging from this teapot spout. This teapot is called an asterism, a commonly viewed image in the stars that isn't a constellation. But however you see this constellation, did you notice that it appears upside down? All the zodiac constellations appear upside down here in the Southern Hemisphere. They were created by Ptolemy and his mates, who told stories of the stars and mapped them out from Greece. So down here, below the equator, we see these from a different perspective, and like the planets, they travel the line of the ecliptic. That's the path that our sun and moon travel through. The Milky Way looks like a band of light and dark because we're seeing our galaxy edge on. When we look up to Scorpius and Sagittarius, that part of the Milky Way, we're gazing into the galactic center, full of star clusters and nebulae. With your naked eyes, you'll see the creamy white bands of light alongside the dark patches, a tapestry of stars, too far away for our eyes to see the stars individually. alongside glowing gases and dark dust clouds. Near the tail of our scorpion is Ptolemy's cluster, M7, a stunning open cluster of young hot stars. To unaided eyes, you'll see this as a fuzzy patch of light. In binoculars, the bright young stars will reveal themselves. Nearby, moving down towards the western horizon just a little, is the butterfly cluster M6. More young stars, and if you have binoculars, you may be able to make out the shape of a butterfly. Let me know. Near the spout of the teapot in the constellation Sagittarius is the Lagoon Nebula, M8. This is a massive stellar nursery, a place where stars are born out of the swirling, excited, glowing gases, about 5,200 light years away. These are our star babies. I want you to gaze into this brilliant and beautiful part of the night sky. Just take a little bit of time here. Moving east, we see the next zodiacal constellation of Capricornus, the Sea Goat. This constellation appears to me to look more like a large boomerang, sitting high up in the sky. It's a heavily indented triangular shape. The stars are not especially bright, but once you see the pattern of the stars, it's easily recognizable. Have you found it? There are several myths relating to Capricornus, and here is the one I enjoy the most. The god Pan was hanging out with the other gods in Egypt, near the Nile, when Typhon, a fire-breathing creature, somewhat similar to a dragon, found them. In order to escape Typhon and his fire, Pan transformed himself into an animal. The plan was to be a goat to run to the river, then a fish to swim away. However, in his haste, he became a sea goat, the upper body of a goat and the lower body of a fish. Luckily, he still escaped the monster Typhon and fled with the other gods. Amused by his quick thinking, but less than perfect transformation, Zeus immortalized Pan's escape by placing the image of the sea goat in the stars as the constellation Capricornus. Once more, move east to the next zodiacal constellation, Aquarius, the water bearer. Aquarius is a constellation of mainly faint stars. Look for the water barrel, 3 slightly brighter stars that form the barrel. From this barrel, water flows, represented by a trail of stars, a starry waterfall. Below the waterfall is the planet Saturn. It is the brightest object in this part of the sky, so I'm sure you'll find it easily. Saturn is a massive gas giant planet composed mainly of hydrogen and helium. It is the 6th planet from the Sun and the planet with the spectacular rings. These rings are composed of ice particles and dust, wide but thin. Currently, we're seeing them as a thin line as we look at Saturn, almost straight on. Saturn also boasts many moons, 278 at last count. And that includes the largest moon, Titan, which is often visible with a bit of magnification. Saturn was at opposition on the 21st of September. This is when it reached its closest and brightest point to Earth for the year. During opposition, Earth passed directly between Saturn and the Sun, and at this time Saturn appears a little larger, a little brighter, and is in the sky all night long. We will continue to see Saturn clearly in the night sky for the next few months, so keep looking. A fun fact about Saturn is if you could pop it in a bath, like a truly massive bath, it would float. That's because Saturn has a low density, much lower than water. If you have a pair of good binoculars or a telescope, you'll be able to see Saturn with its rings and its moon Titan. If that's the case, pause me now and have a look. Now let's move our gaze across to the southern sky. Low in the southwestern sky is the Southern Cross, formerly called Crux. It is small. It's the smallest of all the constellations, and it's bright. Two bright stars, the pointer stars Alpha and Beta Centauri, are currently pointing down towards the Southern Cross. Our ancestors used these stars to help them navigate through the southern seas. They could find the South Celestial Pole and then south by drawing lines out from the long arm of the Southern Cross and by joining Alpha and Beta Centauri, then extracting a perpendicular line out from the pointer stars. At the point where these lines meet, we have the South Celestial Pole. Now drop a line to the horizon for south. As our Earth rotates and time goes by, you may notice that these stars appear to move in a circle. This is our Earth's rotation making the cross appear to turn like the hand of a 24-hour clock. The longer you spend gazing at the stars, the more apparent this rotation will be. Across from the Southern Cross, in the southeast, are two fuzzy white clouds. You will need a very dark and clear sky to see these clouds. So, if you're on Aotea Great Barrier Island like me, you're in luck. These are the large and small Magellanic Clouds, satellite galaxies to our Milky Way. These galaxies are much smaller than our large spiral galaxy, which they're gravitationally attracted to. They are a whopping 160,000 and 200,000 light years away. So, the light you see tonight left these galaxies not long after modern humans started roaming our Earth. With binoculars or a telescope, look just above the small Magellanic Cloud for the gorgeous globular cluster 47 Tucanae. This cluster of around 1 million ancient stars is my personal favourite. While you've been gazing up into the stars, have you seen any meteors? These are also known as shooting stars and are tiny pieces of space rock or debris burning up as they travel through our atmosphere. A common size for a meteor would be the size of a pea. So, how do we see that? Well, as they're traveling so fast, maybe 50 kilometers a second, the friction of the meteor traveling through the gases in our atmosphere sets them briefly alight, and we see that stunning streak of burning gas. The bigger the meteor, the bigger the flash of light in our night sky, with the most impressive being named fireballs. Aotea Great Barrier Island has its own meteor watch station, and you can go online at fireballs.nz to see last night's meteors as an image or as a time-lapse video. There are meteor watch stations all through New Zealand and around the world. Having lived under dark skies and bright skies, I think the best sky is a dark sky. Do you agree? And if so, will you help me? Could you please turn off your outdoor lights as soon as you're done? Use warm coloured light bulbs. Those are the ones that are a bit more yellowy or orangey in colour. And shield lights so that the light doesn't go up into the sky. If you could please encourage others to do the same, I would be really grateful. Ngā mihi nui stargazers, thank you for joining me on tonight's journey through our night skies. I'd love to know where in the world you're joining me from and how similar or different your view of the stars is. Each star has its own story, and every stargazer will connect to the universe in their own special way. Gazing at the stars gives me a sense of awe and wonder I really hope you've felt that, and I hope you'll join me on another stargazing journey soon, either online next month or here on Aotea on one of our magical stargazing experiences. Clear skies!